Hey guys, it's Dani. Today we're gonna do a bit of a Cattleya Orchid special. Instead of doing the What's in Bloom in the Orchid Room, we're just gonna see the blooming Cattleyas, since it's the vast majority of the orchids that I have in bloom right now, and I'll tell you exactly why they are my absolute favorite orchids. And yes, given they are the types of orchids that do best in my environment, which is warm and bright almost all year long. But besides that, not having to worry about them, they're also incredibly beautiful and some of them incredibly fragrant. Sadly, I cannot send you through the screen the scent. That would be awesome. But I will do my best to describe it because Cattleyas are some of the most fragrant orchids we can easily grow in most home environments. So without further ado, let us start. We're just gonna start with the first row here with the awesome, incredible, amazing Thailand, which is a little crowded here. Maybe I should have released the buds from this sheath. Sometimes the sheaths, or sometimes they're very strong. This is a very vigorous and strong orchid. It has quite strong canes and very strong leaves, and the sheaths are not flimsy either. They produce sheaths that are as big as leaves, as you can see. Even though they're not as thick, they're very thick. So sometimes the buds can get a little bit trapped in the sheath. But anyway, we can clearly see the beautifulness. This is one of my most treasured Cattleya orchid, one of my absolute favorite. I shouldn't be saying that out loud because the other kitties can hear me. I'm kidding. But it really is one of my absolute favorites, and it's easy to tell why. The colors are absolutely incredible. They feel so exotic. They remind me of a island, let's say, with wonderful turquoise water and cocktails and all of those things. She is absolutely breathtaking, and she is a very reliable bloomer. Now, this is the type of Cattleya that only blooms once a year, sadly, or rather once per direction of growth, and I only have one direction of growth active at the moment on my orchid. I'm hoping this one will wake up as well, but I'm not sure. So once a year this one blooms, which is a little bit of a pity, but she's absolutely worth it because she's one of those that is reliable in her blooming. And she's not like, sorry, it's morning and I just woke up talking right now. It's a little hard. Right, so she's one of those orchids that doesn't really fuss too much about repotting and all of that. She's very vigorous. I don't remember this one ever being super sit back in the sense that, you know, waiting 5 years for it to bloom. No, she's reliable in her blooming. Even if she doesn't produce like 3 blooms, she can actually put on just 1 and it's enough. Bonus, she is very fragrant. She smells like an exotic cocktail of fruits. Very typical of Cattleya orchids, I would say, but it's one of those juicier fragrances. It's not very sweet or rosy or anything of the sorts. Let me just give it a sniff to make sure. Oh yeah, very beautiful, juicy, a little bit powdery, like a perfume, like a juicy perfume, if you will. I always say that Cattleyas have that type of fragrance that I personally would totally wear, because it's not a very flat scent for me. It has undertones, and I might not be the best to describe the undertones and everything because I'm not a perfumer, or I don't know how you call them. Anyway, I really do appreciate the complexity of scents in Cattleya orchids sometimes. So this is my absolute #1 recommendations for all of you Cattleya lovers that really do like big flowered Cattleyas with awesome colors and awesome fragrances, but you don't want to wait around for 5 years for these orchids to recover if you set them back. Because there are others who will do that. She's not one of them. Totally recommend her. Next up, we're gonna take a look-see in the back there. Let me try to adjust a little bit my exposure here. All right, this is the beautiful Copper Queen Ruby Lip, and let me just turn her around a little bit. Oh, she's so beautiful. Now, this flower just opened, and when they first open, they tend to be a lot more rosy toned than when they age. When they age, they become rather goldeny. So this is quite a color changer, and she's absolutely gorgeous. Oof, like, I'm sorry, like my nose is right next to this one right now, so I'm I'm getting closer to this orchid and I'm literally inhaling the fragrance and it's wonderful. All right, better. I rotated it a little bit so I don't have to be so close to the other Cattleya. It's wonderful, I don't mind it, but it's very distracting as you can see, and we'll be here tomorrow. Right, so the Ruby Queen has a wonderful ruby color when it opens and this magical dotting on her lip, which I'm trying to find a good angle to show it to you. She doesn't have very tiny flowers, but not very huge flowers either. It's not one of those fluffier or frillier flowered Cattleyas, but she is absolutely gorgeous nonetheless. Bonus, this is the type of orchid that does bloom multiple times a year. She does create multiple directions of growth and she doesn't really produce too much of a sheath. You can see it there. You can see the very big difference between these two. This one is a lot chunkier and more vigorous, and this one is a little bit more delicate. I suspect she doesn't need to put on so much energy to create flowers, but there we have it. If you're more into the Cattleyas that bloom more regularly or more often, and you're not into the showiness of the flower necessarily, this one is definitely for you. She can create multiple flowers. I actually have 2 directions of growth on this orchid, and this particular one just put on 2 flowers, but it can totally create more flowers than 2. It really just depends on the maturity of the growth. Now that I look at it, maybe I have 3 directions of growth. I do see a tiny new growth there in the back as well, which might be the 3rd direction. So it's one of those that can actually grow quite bushy and quite fast. Now, in terms of fragrance, let me give it a sniff. Yeah, there isn't much of a fragrance, and I don't remember this one having any type of fragrance or a notable fragrance. Yes, there are some Cattleyas that don't have a fragrance, and typically the trade-off is faster growth, more frequent blooming, more vigorous, I would say, orchids, maybe tinier orchids, more suitable for home growing, windowsills, and so on. So the trade-off sometimes with Cattleyas is fragrance, which is a bummer, but I know that some of you do have fragrance sensitivities. So there is a Cattleya for everybody, for sure. And this one is for those of you who really don't care much about scents or are downright bothered by scents. I detect absolutely nothing from this orchid. I don't think it puts on anything at night. Let me know in the comments if you have a different experience with it, but for me, it's definitely not a standout. Never has been. So there we go, the Ruby Queen, wait, Copper Queen, there we go, Ruby Lip. I might have called her the Ruby Queen, too many names. There we go, the little color changer that has a wonderful dotted lip and doesn't have a fragrance. Maybe this one is the one for you. Next up, my wonderful unknown orchid is in full bloom. It's not that she's unknown, but I misplaced the tag. I lost it somewhere when I showered my orchids, but I know what this one is because I have it for several years and it's the first time she blooms. This is the Keowee Galaxy, and I got her from Orchids Deluxe, and they do still have her in stock. It is the very first time that I see her in bloom, and she is glorious. She has wonderful big flowers that look like little stars. She also has a glorious dotted lip, as you can see. She does look similar in shape with many of these bigger Brassocattleya hybrids, I would say. And I personally do adore the color and the star shape of the flower, especially when they are big like this. Now, these orchids, typically, they do tend to stay rather slender and rather small and do put on quite a big show, as you can see. Again, we don't have a super massive sheath. We have something there. And in my experience in the past, yeah, this orchid can take her time. She can actually create sheath after sheath, but not bloom. And I don't think it has anything to do with the environment, because I've kept her in the same environment all the time. It has to do with maturity. I do believe this one is the type that needs to mature first to be able to bloom. And we can see in the past we have blank sheaths. She can put on 2 leaves per, not per flower spike, per cane, as you can see, but those canes did not produce a sheath quite at all. It is these canes that only produce 1 leaf that have the sheath. Anyway, this one, I don't have enough experience with it yet to tell you if she's a frequent bloomer or not. She can put on definitely multiple growths per year, but I don't know about blooming. She has been mildly finicky for me, if you can believe it, a little bit more finicky than the amazing Thailand, which is a fluffy flowered Cattleya. That's why I'm recommending that one so much. So this one, if you have experience with it, let us know in the comment section. She's a rather new one for me. I'm hoping she will bloom a little bit more often from now on because she's beautiful. She doesn't have any fragrance right now. Maybe some very mild something if you stick your nose into the flower. I do think I detected something in the nighttime, but again, not something I would write home about. Keep in mind though, this is the first time this orchid blooms for me. I got her as a younger orchid, and first time bloomers don't put out their full potential all of the time, so we might have the surprise that this one becomes even more fragrant in the future. I'm not entirely sure. She's new for me, but I would like to show it to you because I personally really do enjoy the star-shaped Cattleyas, the big star-shaped Cattleyas. We have tiny star-shaped Cattleyas. I think I have one in bloom. I might, maybe not. Anyway, you can watch the other videos, but I personally do prefer the bigger star-shaped cats. They look so pretty. Look at that. And that lip is so glorious, and I absolutely adore this color. One of my favorite contrasts is the white and the yellow, and this one against the wall looks very beautiful. So I really like it. I'm glad I didn't give up on it because at some point I was considering it because she was just not blooming. So from now, hopefully she's gonna bloom more often, but definitely she's not the easiest one to get going. Alright, this again is one that I keep recommending over and over, and we have two more in this video actually. They're all in bloom. This is the wonderful Myrmecatavola Frances Fox, and yeah, looking at her, you can get lost for words. She's absolutely gorgeous, absolutely breathtaking in person as well, and I'm hoping you can see it good on video. The colors might be a little bit overblown, oversaturated. Maybe in real life she's not maybe as glowing. It's just because of the Burinas, but trust me when I tell you she does have a wonderful autumny color to her, very orange, and when the flowers first open they get this rustiness to them that slowly fades away. They have a little bit more purple in the lip as well, and as they age they become a little bit more golden, so a bit of a color changer as well. And the flower shape is just unique, absolutely phenomenal. One thing you will notice with the flowers of this orchid is that none are identical necessarily because the petals and sepals tend to curl in various ways. This one decided to curl in front, sometimes they curl in the back, sometimes they're on their side like this. You never know. Sometimes they're absolutely straight. I do have a flower there that's pretty straight. So don't worry if your Frances Fox has this bangs kind of situation. It's absolutely normal. The petals and sepals can also become twisty a little bit. If you can see, they're a little wavy, a little twisty, absolutely phenomenal. The lip is gorgeous as well. She is also a fragrant orchid, but only in the nighttime. This is a Brassocattleya hybrid, and she smells quite identical to any Brassocattleya or most Brassocattleya. It's in that realm of fragrance, and she does have a very powerful scent at night. So if you're thinking to put this orchid in your bedroom, maybe not. It can become overwhelming in the nighttime, even if you are a fragrance lover. It's a little overwhelming for me as well, so I keep her here in the orchid room where, you know, she can perfume the hallway, and she does in the nighttime, but I wouldn't sleep with this orchid in the room. Now, this orchid is again a one-time bloomer or once a year type of bloom, but she is a vigorous type of orchid. I didn't have many issues with any of my Frances Foxes, and I think I had two. One I messed up with, and this is the second. Am I misremembering right now? Oh my gosh. I might be misremembering. This might actually be my one and only Frances Fox, which at this point should be about 10 years old. Maybe I'm lying. I'm sorry. Let's not continue that idea. I don't remember having issues with this orchid a lot. Can she get sit back? Absolutely she can, but she's vigorous, and typically she does recover really fast and puts on a wonderful show year after year for you. Now, this one doesn't really create much of a sheath, and typically when the pseudobulb matures, you will see a tiny little sheath at the very top, and you'll think, oh, this orchid will now bloom. Let it be. The flower stem, the spike, actually starts to grow from that tiny little sheath, and at first it's kind of tiny, and then it grows into this whole monstrosity here. So don't give up on hope with this one. She's different. She is a former Schomburg, yeah, hybrid, and they're a little bit different. They're also kind of big orchids and vigorous, as you can see. I wouldn't call this one a space saver or very easy to manage in smaller spaces. The flower spike is very long as well, and the flowers are quite big as well, but she is absolutely worth it if you have a spare space somewhere, sorry. You're wondering, okay, what is an iconic orchid that I can put in here? This is one of them. The Amazing Thailand would be one. This would be a second one. And you know what? I'm gonna show you two more. This would be another one. I'm not gonna talk too much about this one because she's already on her way out. I didn't catch her in her full glory, but I do have other videos on it. Let me adjust the exposure. There we go. This is the Fushu Glory Happy Holiday, and the party trick of this orchid is having a how you call it, pinwheel type of pattern on the blooms. Do we see each petal and sepal has a stripe of yellow? This is more visible when the flowers are old. Given my flowers are very old, they're on their way out, but I think you can tell. I'll insert a little picture from this one from previous years. This one I hold in the same ranks as the Amazing Thailand because she is absolutely amazing. The flowers are pretty big, maybe not as big as the Amazing Thailand or Floofy, but absolutely amazing. The lip is very, very nice as well. She's also fragrant, and again, she smells rather citrusy to me, and she blooms reliably. She's a once a year kind of type of bloomer, one time per direction of growth as well, but she is unskippable, or she doesn't skip a year is what I'm trying to say. Again, one of those that is very, very, very incredibly vigorous. I just repotted it a little while back. I think it was this year, if not at the end of last year, and she didn't suffer any setback. Even if she does, she still blooms, and typically for me, she puts on about 3 flowers. And yeah, kind of sad I cannot really show the flowers in their full glory, but I will find some footage. This one is a must again. If you really, really enjoy Cattleyas and you want some of those that are maybe a little bit bigger, very fragrant, but you want them to bloom, you don't want them to just sit around and do nothing. Again, we have one of those big sheaths, and if initially you do not see buds in the sheath, do not worry. She can have those sheaths for a while until her blooming time comes around. I cannot really tell you that this one blooms in the spring or autumn or summer. She kind of blooms all over the place for me. Whenever she feels like, once a year, she kind of blooms for me. So sometimes she's in bloom for Christmas, sometimes, you know, around this time of the year or Halloween. I don't know. She doesn't really have a season for me, or she's just confused about the seasons in my environment. But definitely all you need to know is that this one is a full recommended orchid from me, and if you have her and you want to share some details about her, feel free to do so in the comment section. And the next absolute recommendation is the wonderful Burana Beauty Cattleya. Look at her. This is a cluster bloomer, and she has one of the most vivid yellow colors I have in my collection. She's also peloric, as we can see. This red from the lip is showing on the petals as well. The flowers are not very big, as you can see, but they are always displayed in this wonderful, wonderful cluster, which can vary from 5-6 flowers, maybe more. I don't remember having way too many flowers, like 10, but she's always blooming with this wonderful cluster, and she is a very, very vigorous grower. She can actually bloom multiple times a year. It's not one of those that only creates one growth per direction. I have another growth oh no, it's this one, sorry. No. I only have one direction of growth for this one. She doesn't necessarily mature growth very fast, so it can take 9 months for growth to mature. So sometimes you can actually have a once a year bloom depending how the timing is, but I do remember I've had twice a year bloomings with these ones as well. Depends how many directions of growth they have. Bonus, this one is also fragrant, but this one smells like roses. Now, it's a very typical rose fragrance. I have learned in the past year that roses can have very different fragrances in between themselves as well. So I would say that if you know the typical, let's say, rose scented products, this is pretty much how this one smells like. It's a typical old rose type of fragrance. It is a medium strength. I cannot detect it as at this distance, but if I go in for a sniff, it's definitely there. Believe it or not, mine is very close to her end. Oh, that sounded dramatic. The blooms are close to their end and they're not so fragrant. They've been open for maybe 3 weeks now and they still look glorious. But the fact that the fragrance is not as strong tells me that they're not going to be around for too much longer. So I'm enjoying them while I still can. But definitely this is another recommendation because she's just a very easy to care for Cattleya type. She's not a very big orchid, as you can see. She can get a little bit not fluffy, just bushy, but she's not very tall. And yeah, if you have a little space for a Cattleya, this one definitely can be one of the candidates. Next up, this is a Cattleya orchid that is a first-time bloomer for me. It's one of the kittens. It's one of the seedlings, which was not such a seedling. I'm trying to show air quotes. So this is the Cattleya Hawaiian wedding crossed with pink Empress. And I didn't know how this one was supposed to look like. There was no picture on the internet, just the picture of the crossed parents. And I will say the only reason that I chose this one was the fact that one of the parents is the Hawaiian wedding, which is a white Cattleya that looks very much like my white Princess Jackie, no ID Cattleya Princess Jackie. So I was hoping to maybe correlate them a little bit if the fragrances would be similar, but no. This one is indeed fragrant. She's one of those fluffy cats with very big flowers, as you can see, and she is very fragrant, but nothing resembling the Princess Jackie white Cattleya that I have. She smells a very typical Cattleya scent, a little bit lily-like, mildly rosy as well, very, very floral. There's nothing gourmand about it, I would say. Very typical Cattleya fragrance, as I was saying, and very typical fluffy Cattleya flower shape. Wonderful color. I don't think the camera can pick it up. In reality, it's a much warmer purple and it's kind of neon camera. It's a thing. My camera and many cameras cannot really pick up true colors, especially if they're very saturated like this. But yeah, she has a very beautiful and striking flower, I would say. And for a first-time bloomer, she does look very, very nice. And I do believe she will be a very frequent bloomer. She grew very well. I don't know if she will bloom more than once a year. She doesn't have that shape, you know, the Brassocattleya shape. She has more of the typical Cattleya, let's say, shape. So I cannot tell you too much because she is a first-time bloomer, but I definitely wanted to show you her and give an update on the first kitten to bloom. There she is. Doesn't look anything really like the white parent. She looks more like the other parent. I'll have to check some photos, but yeah, I really like her, and I was indeed missing this color of a Cattleya in my collection, if you believe it. I focused so much on orange, red, and yellow Cattleyas, like this one, that I totally kind of skipped on many of these purpley Cattleyas, and she is a great addition since I seem to be missing this color. I really like her, and yeah, hopefully she's gonna be a vigorous grower, and hopefully she will become one of the must-haves as well. And the last kitty I'm gonna show you, this one might enter the list of must-haves. This is BC Toung Star Big Toung. It's a Brassocattleya hybrid, and it's one of those that actually has the rounded shape and rounded lip of a Brassocattleya, plus, you know, the enhancement of a Cattleya. She has a wonderful purpley dotted lip with light colored petals. It looks really, really like a Brassocattleya, but with the pinkiness in the lip. I'm a little lost for words. I don't know how to describe this one. We've seen her in bloom quite a lot, and recently, while she got established to the pot, she bloomed a lot, multiple times a year on the same direction of growth. This one was in bloom just a few months ago, then it created a new growth, which is this one, which is in bloom yet again. And as we can see, it's already growing out of her pot, and I repotted her 2 years ago. I'm not even kidding. This one is in a hurry. This is a fast grower. Sometimes these Brassocattleya hybrids are just so fast growing that they can be a little bit of a nuisance when it comes to repotting because you will have to do it pretty often. If you have one of those smaller flowered Brassavolas and smaller caned Brassavola hybrids, you can get away with a few years in the same pot because you have space, but this one has a long rhizome and is prolly and is growing fast, and I already have to repot it. I will divide it because I don't want this one necessarily to be a specimen. I will cut it, divide it, keep 3 pseudobulbs, and hey presto, there we go. Again, I don't remember this one to ever be super sit back or anything. She's a very vigorous grower, very fast grower, which is a bonus when you have sit back orchids, which you will have at some point, we all do. And another bonus, this one is fragrant. But mine is not fragrant in the nighttime, and it does not smell like Brassavolas. She smells sweet like candy in the daytime, and it's not a very obnoxious and powerful scent. I do not detect anything at this distance, which is about 50 centimeters, let's say. But if I go in close and take a sniff, definitely I can detect that sweet candy-like fragrance. Quite interesting, I would say, for a Brassavola hybrid not to have the Brassavola fragrance and to smell in the daytime, but this one does. So up to you. Should we put this one in the must-haves ranks? I don't know. She blooms a lot. She's annoying because she grows a little fast, if you can call that an annoyance. Maybe just a little bit frustrating. And she is absolutely wonderfully looking. I don't know. If you guys want me to put it on the must-haves, I will, because I'm starting to like it more and more and more. I absolutely adore this wonderful, wonderful lip, and she doesn't really lose the coloration all that much as she ages. Some of these Brassavola hybrids completely lose the purpliness after a week or so. They become more of an antiqued, let's say, they have an antique look to them. This one, not so much. She does tend to hang on to the color. Not like brand new. She doesn't look brand new, but she hangs on to that coloration, which is nice in my opinion. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this one as well. She's a fast grower. I don't think you will be disappointed. And if you want just a little bit of fragrance, this is the one for you. She smells like candy, which is lovely, isn't it? Alright, so that is about it for today. We're not going to look at the dendrobiums and the Bellina. We've seen them all summer long, at least the Bellina. So this was more of a Cattleya focused type of video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments which one was your favorite, or which one did you add to your wish list, or which one do you actually have and you want to tell us a few words about. Whatever you like, leave us a comment below, share your information and knowledge with us as well. And with that said, I hope you'll have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!